This is how I'll always remember you. Surrounded by winter, forever young, forever beautiful. Think of it, Batman. To never again walk on a summer's day with a hot wind in your face and a warm hand to hold. Oh yes, I'd kill for that. In my nightmares I see my Nora behind the glass, begging to me with frozen eyes. How I've longed to see that look frozen on you.
Hello, Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at our second McFarlane Toys Batman the Animated Series figure, and this will be the villainous Mr. Freeze. Now, Mr. Freeze is one of my favorite Batman the Animated Series characters, and I think they really underused him. I think he was used twice in the original series. They gave him a movie, Sub-Zero, which was really good. They used him once in the New Adventures, and they used him once in Batman Beyond. And, you know, the character itself came back in other video games, but Michael Asnar, the actor who portrayed him, only did a few of the animated series things, and I thought that this was such a great character. But enough about the history of the cartoon show. We're here to take a look at this awesome figure. Taking a look at the packaging, you can see it was in the same packaging that we got the Batman in. You have the nice open window box, 12 plus. Collect to build the Condiment King, Batman the Animated Series logo there, Mr. Freeze. You can see Mr. Freeze in the packaging. On the top of the packaging, you got McFarlane Toys. You have Batman the Animated Series logo and McFarlane Toys. On the left side of the box, you have Batman the Animated Series, Mr. Freeze. You have DC Direct, McFarlane Toys. On the other side of the box, you have Batman the Animated Series, Mr. Freeze, DC Direct, McFarlane Toys. On the bottom of the box, you just got some credits for the box and a barcode, which is really nice. And coming around to the back of the box, the Condiment King again takes center stage when you have Batman the Animated Series, McFarlane Toys, the Condiment King built, collect to build. You have the Condiment King there, Mr. Freeze, collect them all. Scarecrow, Batman, Robin, and Mr. Freeze. Some more credits for the box. And that is it for the packaging. But before we take him out of the packaging, let's take a peek and compare him to what we have in the museum. So, going down to the museum and pulling a piece of the archives, this is the original Batman the Animated Series Mr. Freeze DC collectibles that came out many years ago, and basically what I'm looking at is this is going to be just a reissue, redeco, repaint, because this is pretty much the same character, just different paint apps on him. You still even got the same amount of hands, and you get the same freeze gun, and this one has some Condiment King parts, but for the most part, again, these are the same, unlike the Batman, which had a different body sculpt. So, but anyway, coming around to the back of the packaging, old school looking Batman the Animated Series logo there on the old one. Alright, let's get that out of here. Now, let's get Mr. Freeze out of the packaging and see how cool he really is. And taking a look at Mr. Freeze out of the packaging, he stands approximately 6 inches tall. If you put the helmet on him, it will boost him up about 6.5 inches. He comes with his freeze gun. He comes with 4 additional pairs of hands. He comes with a canister, and he comes with a character card. And we'll take a look at all those in a little bit. But first off, I want to look at Dr. Freeze himself. And coming real close in on Dr. Victor Freeze, he looks great. I love this head sculpt. Now, the head sculpt is very simple. It's basically a white head with his goggles nice and red. You got his eyebrows coming up from the side, and he has a nice pointy nose. And that profile is just diabolical. He has little goggles going all the way around to the back. Have his ears picked out there. That is really nice, coming to the back of his head. Nothing really there, just again all white, and it's fantastic. Like I said before, I really like the simple yet evilness of Mr. Freeze. And zooming out a little bit so we can see the upper part of his costume. It is very screen accurate. It's basically just a suit. You have a nice blue collar here, and you got some blue shoulder pad type things coming off the side, and some black arm sleeves with, again, the blue for the elbows and the wrist. You have a little bit of toon shading coming throughout the chest. I really like that as opposed to the Batman. I think they did the toon shading very well on this one. Coming to the belt, you have a nice pattern of gray, black, and gray, black, gray, black, and some blue shorts. He has purple gloves. Those are nice. Coming down to some black pants. Got some more blue bands for right below his knee. Coming to some purple boots. So I really like the design. And yeah, this is a very good looking Mr. Freeze from Batman the Animated Series. Alright, moving on. And for our articulation, starting at the head can go around 360 degrees. It is on a nice joint, so it can look down a little ways, it can look up a little ways, and you do get some wiggly waggly in the neck joint, so that is cool. Coming to the shoulders are under these pads here, so they can go up a little ways and then back down. They can go around 360 degrees if you twist them like this, which would effectively give you bicep swivel. And coming down, I don't think there is an elbow bend there. I mean, it feels like there is, but you're not going to be able to utilize it because of the design of this costume and these three little joints here. So zoom in on that so I can show you that there is no give there. I mean, you can feel it. It's wanting to move, and you do get a little twist and turn, but not much. But you do have forearm rotation, 360 degrees, taking you down to the wrist joint, which that will go around 360 degrees. And this particular one is hinged, so it can go down and up or in and out, depending on which way you have the hand. Coming to the center of the body, there is nothing there. It is basically just a solid suit. He's a walking refrigerator. Essentially, that's what he is. It doesn't turn. There is no ab crunch. And even here, there's nothing with the belt section. Looks like they could have put in some sort of rotation there, but they did not. Coming to the legs can kind of go forward a little bit. They can kind of go back a little bit, but the butt will get in the way. The legs are designed to hinge out to the side, so you get that, but that breaks your sculpt and your mold, and it looks kind of silly, but that is kind of what's designed. And when you do that, it kind of makes the legs really, really loose. I'm not sure, but as soon as I kind of hit that joint on both sides, it kind of made the legs kind of do this little loosey-goosey wobbly thing. So now they are completely, I don't know, very, very loose. And I don't know if that's product design, since I never opened my last one, but unfortunately, I'm not gonna really like that. And you gotta move it a certain way to get it back onto track. So yeah, that is kind of a bummer. Continuing with the articulation, coming down, you do get a knee bend. Not exactly 90 degrees, but that's okay. You do get a boot cut right under these blue bands, and it goes around 360 degrees, and that will lead you to the foot. And the foot articulation is there, but it's kind of hindered based on how it's cut. And I will zoom in as far as I can really see, so you can see that there is a hinge, but when you use the hinge, it kind of is not cut right. So I mean, the foot will articulate forward like such, but if you look at the hinge already, you are getting some stress marks, and I don't know how well that is going to hold up. You can put it all the way back as well, but again, stress marks. And if you look, this hinge has got a tab on the top of it, and that does not fit into the slot of the ankle, so that is going to have to push through, and that is going to damage the foot with continued use. So I don't know, maybe it wasn't supposed to go out that far, but it is hinged that far, so it's strange. I do not like the articulation on this figure at all. It's limited, and the way it's designed has now made the figure kind of a wobbly mess, and you're not going to be able to always use this foot, and I don't know, very bad articulation at this point. Alright, moving on. And before we get into accessories, Mr. Freeze comes with a collector's character card, and it's really nice. You got Mr. Freeze there, you got the Batman, the animated series logo there at the bottom. Turning it around to the back, you have a neat little read-up of Mr. Freeze and his picture, so we will zoom in here so you can get a good view of that, so you can pause the video, read that to your heart's content. But we must be moving on. Again, yay for collector's cards. Moving on. And for accessories, Mr. Freeze comes with 5 sets of hands. He comes with a set of open hands. He comes with a set of item holding hands. He comes with a set of weapon holding hands. He comes with a set of expressional grabby hands. And he comes with a set of fisted hands. All the hands the good doctor would need to conduct his mad experiments to save his wife. Alright, moving on. And Mr. Freeze's next accessory is his helmet. And it's a clear piece of plastic. It just fits right over his head. And why they made this detachable, I have no idea. I guess if you want to role-playing with it, have him, you know, in a cold environment or something, he could have it off. But for the most part, I don't think anybody's going to display him without his helmet. So this should have been like glued on, because basically this is just another piece to lose in the carpet or in the toy box or something. I don't know. But he looks great with it on, and again, I'll never have him displayed without his helmet. So moving on. And Mr. Freeze's next accessory is his freeze gun. Now, it is a nice accessory. It is basically a solid piece. It's got a lot of neat designs in it. It's flat plastic. You do have a nice barrel drilled into the gun right there, so that is neat. And it just goes right into his hand. Not much to it. Again, it could have done with some color, I think, but for what it is, it's alright. Moving on. And Mr. Freeze's last accessory is this little tank that he wears on his back. It's got a little gauge here. It's painted gray from a black, as you can tell from the peg there, that sticks into his back. And it's okay. I guess it has whatever coolant he uses to keep him at a sub-zero temperature. They could have had some design on it, or maybe some gauge graphics. I don't know. Alright, that's going to be his little tank. Moving on. And to complete the contents of the package, you do have the Condiment King's condiment pack, I guess. It is basically 2 large tanks that are filled presumably with ketchup and mustard, because you do have these nice wires coming out leading down to some condiment blasters, and this is red for ketchup and yellow for mustard, I assume. And it's pretty cool looking. You got little gauges on the tank, and you do have some arm straps here and some ports that will peg into the back of Condiment King, I would say. We'll probably get there at a later date so we can get the Condiment King. I think I will pick up the rest of these. So there's a hint for future reviews. And that is going to be your condiment backpack and weapons. Alright, moving on. And full comparison, here you have him with the Batman Wave Mate. And it's okay. They look really nice together. Very cartoon accurate, so can't complain much about that. Alright, moving on. And this has been the McFarlane Toys Batman the Animated Series Mr. Freeze. And I don't really know. I'm going to try to be as objective as I can with this thing because I love how this thing looks and presents itself. It is right out of the animated series. He's just walked off the screen. A perfect animated cell from the cartoon put into plastic form. So, with that being said, I love the way it looks. Everything else about it, I am not too sure. The articulation is severely limited based on the design of the costume, and I think that could have been fixed had they put some joints in the little rings, and I think that would have given him a little more arm articulation. The wrist articulation, that's okay. The knees, that's okay. The foot articulation, I don't know what was up with that. When I first got it, the port was already pushed out. So I think when I started messing with it and realized that the tab had already come out of the point, I think that was the stopping point. That's where it's supposed to stop. If that tab is out, then you've definitely gone too far with the joint and you're stressing it. But still, there was some regular stress marks around the top of the foot and on the back from just moving it around. Once you articulate the legs out to the side, it's like it clicked a joint and made it completely super wobbly. So now, unless I want to get some furniture polish to maybe tighten that up, it's just going to be wiggly waggly. So I don't know, I really don't like that about this figure. The accessories are fine. The little tank on the back, you can't really see it. The gun's fine. I think the gun in the tank could have had some more detail on it. It just looks bland, but then it's cartoon animated cells, so yeah, it looks fine. Speaking of cartoon animated cell, the cell shading on Mr. Freeze here is great. I don't really have any problem with that. It's not as egregious as the Batman cell shading, so that's a plus. Again, the helmet, I really again wish it was like glued on. I mean, you could take it off. Well, it stays on pretty tightly, but I still think it will probably get lost if I ever take it off, which I probably won't, but you never can tell. Accessories have a way of getting lost over time, so yeah, there's legs just will not stay in a nice position, I don't think, so we'll get that back there. But other than that, if you like Mr. Freeze from the animated series, this is just going to be a great figure that you're going to want to pick up. I don't know if I'd take him out of the box and mess around with him. Keeping him in the box is a great idea. He looks great, displays well. If you take him out, just be careful with him because you're going to lose parts and he's going to be all wiggly waggly on you, I guess. But anyway, that's going to be my honest review about this guy. If I didn't like this character so much, I wouldn't have bought him. He's basically a repaint of the previous one that we got. And I did buy him because I wanted one to take out of the box and mess around with. And, well, kind of sad that I did that. So it's kind of hard to recommend him, even though it's a great looking figure. And if you want the Condiment King, you gotta buy him to get the Condiment King backpack. I don't know, I'll let you guys decide if you want this guy in your collection or not. If you're looking for him, you can find him at Target's. He goes for a whopping $30, and he will be in the NECA section where the pops and everything else are. Alright guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, keep playing.
I failed you. I wish there were another way for me to say it. I cannot. I can only beg your forgiveness and pray you hear me somehow. Someplace where a warm hand waits for mine.